Okay, we're back, and I'm standing where I left you last, and that is in the middle of the chapel of the Archangel Gabriel here in Glasgow. The liturgy served here is almost exclusively English, and it draws people from across various Orthodox jurisdictions and traditions, but it especially draws many converts. The community here has grown exponentially. We hear about the convert surge in the United States, but perhaps by percentages, I've not experienced it anywhere as extremely as I have here in Glasgow. There is a clear hunger on the part of people to get back to the faith of their forefathers. And it's incredibly moving to see, to the point where they outgrew this chapel some time ago and had to move to Charlotte Street. Those of you who follow the Orthodox Pilgrim or some of the other related channels will have seen images related to the liturgy we served last Sunday together with Father Andrew Stephen Damick, Deacon Seraphim, Pastor Michael Landsman, and Father Augustine. But whether you did or did not, that is not the home chapel. That is a second building that this community has had to acquire in order to accommodate all the people that now come here. That said, I'm currently looking toward the Holy Doors, and as stated, this whole iconostas was built by Father Augustine when the mission first opened. The iconography is absolutely splendid. And what you will notice as I move around the chapel is that the icons are pretty much life-size or even larger than life. I'll say a bit more about those in greater detail momentarily. But in the meantime, while you can see that up above, on the top row of the iconostas are the feasts of the Lord, and here on the panels of the iconostas, you can see the expected Theotokos and the Pantocrator, as well as the Annunciation and the four evangelists on the Holy Doors. Along the walls, we'll take a quick tour, and I'll say something about a few of the saints, though not all of them. So in the first instance, we have the Archangel Gabriel. Obvious reasons. He is the patron of this community. But then we have St. John the Baptist. We have St. Peter. We have St. Paul. St. Nicholas. Here we have St. Hilda. You will have heard something about her on the Orthodox Pilgrim channel, or you will as soon as it's released from our pilgrimage stop in Whitby. But some of you may already be familiar with her role in the history of the British Church, as she was the abbess of the monastic community in Whitby and convened the council in 663, at which the Roman and Celtic parties were reconciled, creating what would become the British Church. We have here St. Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland, followed by St. David, the patron saint of Wales. Then we have St. Augustine of Canterbury, and he is, of course, not technically the patron saint of England, but he is a founder saint of the English Church in particular. We then have St. Ninian, and I was overjoyed myself. It's now been 2 weeks since I was there, but to go to Whithorn, south of Glasgow, to see his cave where he lived as a hermit and served from there to evangelize the South Picts. Here we have a dual icon depicting Saint Alban. Most of you will be familiar with Saint Alban's story as a Roman martyr of the 4th century, and one of the proto-martyrs of the British Church, and Saint Synnöve, his mother. I've just been corrected by Brother Basil. Saint Synnöve is his sister. So I move across, and here we find Saint Theneva. Now, Saint Theneva was the mother of Saint Mungo, also known as Saint Kentigern, who is the patron saint of Glasgow today. Saint Serf is depicted beside her. She had been an abused woman, and she was pregnant when she was grievously abused. Saint Serf found her and protected her and took care of her as she gave birth to the person who would become the patron saint of Glasgow. Here we have Saint Keswick. Now, we met Saint Keswick when we were on Loch Lomond at the town of Luss last week. You will hear more about him on the Orthodox Pilgrim. I'm going around the Cleros stand to continue with Saint Bridget of Ireland. Here we have Saint Cuthbert, whom you should know from Lindisfarne. Followed by Saint Adavan. Then Saint Columba. Saint Moberga. And finally, the patron saint of Glasgow, Saint Kentigern. And if you hear the name Saint Kentigern used alternately with Saint Mungo, that's because they're the same person. So really, you're talking about an exquisite gallery of saints of unspeakable significance to these islands. It's in this chapel you will experience in a very acute way a true Scottish orthodoxy, in the sense that the saints are present with us as we worship in a way that is authentic and true to the people of this land.